So I guess question 3 for you chaps is where have you seen customers do it well? What did that journey look like, and what were their outcomes that I think you took away and said, you know what, this is what successful looks like. Have you got any experiences in that?
So what does good look like?
Yeah.
So I've recently worked with a large UK organisation where they have implemented 2 new on-prem data centres with some cloud connectivity, and from day one they architected monitoring in.
Yeah.
And it was, I say from day one that there were a number of programs of work, but one of them was specifically focused on tooling, and the data center or the applications that sit on top of the data center were not allowed to go into full production mode without having some monitoring capability in there. That's sensible.
Yeah,
That's a sensible approach. Yeah. Day one, obviously applications weren't working very well, so immediately they reached for the toolbox, found some problems. I mean, things like we were talking about services earlier. Everyone's consuming a service such as DNS. Why have I got DNS servers sitting in one legacy estate with the latency of them being really high, and another estate being quite low? And actually, I'm actually consuming the DNS from the one where the latency is poor. Well, we want to change that around, but also we want to make sure that we can fix that latency problem. So from day one, they were putting the servers into production, and they were troubleshooting using the monitoring they put in place. So what does good look like? That's probably quite a good story, to be perfectly honest. I've got plenty more.
And were they happy? Did they feel that they got value out of that?
I think straight away they recognised it. But did they say, "Oh, we've done a great job here"? No, because that's the norm.
That's the norm.
That's what the norm is.
You expected to do a good job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they didn't pat themselves on the shoulder. They're living up to their own expectations. So it's good.
Yeah. From our perspective, one of the customers that we've been working with, they had a mandate, as I said earlier, to become to ensure that the network team was ultimately delivering a service to the business.
Yep.
And they were seen as a service provider in their own right. So what they did was they went ahead and they ensured that they had a unified security policy with ACI. They implemented it the way they should have implemented. They went down the route of driving full automation with Ansible. So ultimately, as when new applications were being launched, those were actually integrated in as part of the wider framework.
Yep.
All fronted by a ServiceNow. What we're doing now is with this one particular organisation is, it's still that they were still getting to a point though whereby they weren't getting the visibility or the insights as to what was traversing across their environment. So we're working with them, and actually we've done a POV to a point where they're actually going ahead to implement Next Dashboard Insights, so they can now get the visibility and the insights as to what's traversing across their network. Yeah. So at any one time, if there is an instance or if there is an outage, they're able to quickly understand what has caused it. What is the limiting factor within their network. Yeah. So it's really putting them back in control, and for us, this has been a huge step in the direction that they want to get to. Yeah.
Good. Nick, do you have anything to add to that?
What does good look like?
Yeah.
Well, I have seen some customers. I'm going to strip it right back away from products for a second and just say, good. It doesn't have to mean overly complex and heavy. Not heavy. Significant kind of investment, right? People don't have to spend a lot of money to do some things well, right? You can still do something very cheaply, but do it well and make it relevant to the business. So we've seen customers, even just with basic existing monitoring tools, really, I'm not trying to kind of advocate old kind of tools, but just working backwards from the requirements, right? Just taking a data set and making it relevant to their own business need. Enriching some kind of data with business context messaging, just to take a basic message and be able to kind of enrich it with more information that's relevant to them, right? I think where we want to get to is probably a stage where we can use a lot of products to do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? Kind of NI is an amazing tool. It produces so much content. No one could ever create that themselves without taking years and spending millions and millions of pounds, right? But it's a case of kind of for me, what good looks like would be a case of using something kind of Netscout related, Cisco related, getting all of the heavy lifting done, but still applying the individual company's logic to the data that those products create, right? Because no vendor can ever fix that problem. Cisco, Netscout, you could never code applications in a way that gives every business their own specific business needs, right? You've got to prioritize certain use cases and code towards it, but they're a large component, but the kind of special sauce on top is the bit that can really help take an amazing product and just kind of elevate it even more. And that doesn't have to be complex, right? It comes back to the use cases, understanding what the anomalies or faults, whatever's being raised, and making that relevant. I think that's what, for me, good looks like.
Yeah.
Cool. And what would, if you had to pick one thing each in terms of how people can look to start their journey, what would be the one thing that you would recommend to people to start on their journey towards visibility, observability, insights, whatever it is they need to do to get there? What one thing would you choose? And I guess this makes it easier for whoever goes first.
Yeah. I would say I'm going first.
Straight in there.
Straight in there.
So from my perspective, is they've got to have a partner that is with them on the journey throughout that whole project, yeah, and actually more so, yeah. So when you start an outcome that you're trying to achieve, you've got to be in a point whereby you know mutually you both understand the requirements, you both understand the end goal, yeah, and the customer and the partner are able to hit that trajectory and the milestones. And it might be working with multiple vendors, yeah, one vendor but multiple vendors, but the outcome needs to be clear, it needs to be defined, and it needs to be ultimately aligned, yeah. And I'm not saying it because I'm sat with you guys, but there's so many great examples of you working with customers, and we as Cisco have come in at point parts of it to provide some additional value add wherever it's needed, but whenever we've met with any of your customers, it's been fantastic, and clear-cut example of that.
Yeah, thank you. Jack?
I'm trying to think. I did make a note about this, but
Shall I move to Nick?
Go on, Nick.
It goes back. I sound like a just banging the same drum, but it goes back to the requirements again, right? It's and again, the data's got to mean something. So there's no point in creating just a load of data and not doing anything with it. You may as well just stay in bed, right? So I would probably say, in terms of how to get started, A, the requirements clearly defined, which is tough going. There shouldn't be, but unfortunately is. But B, just pick 5 use cases, right? This information is intended to make everyone's lives easier, right? To assure the state of the infrastructure, just to give confidence that things are working as expected. But pick just 5 use cases of things that traditionally take a lot of time, and use tools to validate that. And that doesn't just mean, okay, give me a file and just send it into an index or a data lake somewhere, never to be seen again. Make it available, make it consumable on a dashboard. Whatever that is, make it consumable so that those 5 use cases take seconds to do. People can go proactively and just find the data, right? They've not got to go and do anything, digging around, get the data for 5 use cases, make it available, so that literally load a window, there's the result, right? It's not, okay, well, I've got to stitch this bit of information over here with this bit of information. No. Munge it together, do whatever you need to do to make those 5 use cases and the 5 time-consuming use cases or an effort use cases, just achieve them, right? Pick them, make it on a sexy dashboard somewhere so that people can spend their 9 hours, 10 hours a day, whatever, doing more interesting stuff. The data has to provide value, doesn't it? There's no point just doing it and just leaving it somewhere. It's got to be.
Goes back to that mean time to knowledge thing I said earlier. It's if you can present it in a way that's easily consumable, then
Yeah.
you reduce the time to learn about what's going on across your network. So I suppose Nick's covered off from a technical perspective-ish, partner perspective, but I guess if I was taking a role I've had in the past, if I was to approach it now, again, I'd probably be looking to ensure senior management buy-in
Yep.
and appreciation of what we're trying to achieve. And
It's a good one, Joe.
That is a good
That is a very good one.
save the best till last.
You just trumped us. You've been lying in stealth.
So I think that's. I mean, I suppose we talked at the outset about setting. What is it a business wants out of this kind of thing? Observability. Well, let's look at some outcomes and let's stress those outcomes up and make sure that senior management, budget holders and the like are aware of the outcomes we're trying to achieve and how observability or visibility can help deliver those outcomes.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Cool, fantastic. Well, I think, guys, that is a wrap for today. You've all done expertly well. So I just want to thank all of you for coming along today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure the audience have had quite an insightful event, to be fair. And the information, or the data, I suppose, that they've got out of this should hopefully give them a good avenue to start pursuing their next steps towards their observability plans. And I suppose out of the session, I think for me, listening into you guys talk about what it is and how the challenges or the importance and the outcomes are playing a big part in this industry. I think from me, my biggest takeaways is that the people processes, the buy-in, and the skill set or the products and the people around it are vastly important for success. I think is probably my takeaway from that. So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Raghav.
I want to keep going.
Thank you.
I'll just clear the calendar.
Unfortunately, you can't. So we're going to finish up. We
Yeah.
can go for a bite to eat afterwards.
I
I was going to say pint, but I might get a few Alcoholic
16
Anonymous
Yeah.
messages afterwards. So thank you everyone again for joining us. I hope the audience enjoyed the session. I hope everyone's participated in the polls, and we'll put some stuff out on the results of those polls afterwards. And then obviously a call to action for ourselves, I suppose a bit of a plug for BestPath here, is that we do have the ability to come in and provide some assessment on your next steps. So Joe kind of alluded to it earlier on about how you take that from the outset and move that onwards. So we do have a solution available for customers to reach out and get in touch, and we will help you on that journey to success, I suppose, in what it might look like for you.